Howdy y'all, welcome to Nerd Studio. We're out at the range today with an update to this guy here, the 3Speed holster. Stay tuned.
Yeehaw!
I've been working with the 3Speed holsters now for 3-4 months, and I am still liking them. I have, of course, the holster for the Glock 19, and this one's for the 43. You'll notice something very different here in this video. If you watch the others, I am carrying the gun at the appendix position. That's not something that's been really possible for me to do until I've discovered the 3Speed holster and started playing with it. And here's what makes it possible. First of all, it's very comfortable. Obviously that's the best thing about this holster is how comfortable it is. And of course I'm wearing this on the outside of my shirt here just to save you the chub view there. There's a lot of sun out and I got a white belly and it just blinds everything. Anyway, one of the problems I have with carrying it to the appendix, I sit down and that's the barrel. The barrel of the gun pokes out, and you know it's kind of obvious and it looks kind of nasty. But anyway, what I've discovered is when I'm doing that, I can actually quite easily grab this and just sort of pull up. And because of the way this backing is made, it adheres to your skin, and not in a bad way. But when I pull it up, it'll just sort of ride there. And so if I'm going to be doing a lot of sitting, I'm in a meeting or, something like that, and I'm worried about that gun protruding, the barrel of the gun protruding, I can adjust this up almost without anyone noticing it. And if I get back up, I'm doing a lot of walking around, I want to go back to a deeper concealment, it's pretty easy to just sort of adjust it back down there and you're off and running. I tend to keep it up higher when I'm in the car because it gets it above the seat belt. So if I were to need to draw in the car, I can do that. So that's working out really well. Let's talk about a couple of the call outs that I made on the holster. Some places that were less than comfortable. Right back here where I think the label is, this spot was sort of irritating my skin. That is still occurring 3 months later, although it's not quite as bad and it does feel like it's softening. I think over time that's going to go away, but it is 3-4 months, it's still bugging me. The draw, if you watch the earlier videos, the draw for this holster is a combat draw, so you jam your thumb in behind the gun to pull it up, and we're not loaded if you care. And so this piece of fabric here was real hard on the thumb, and I found I was having to wear a Band-Aid to keep myself from bleeding, basically. That has gotten substantially better. If I'm out here, I'm going to do 100 draws or something. I do still put the Band-Aid on just in case, but just for the occasional use, I don't notice it anymore, or at least it's not as severe. So that is breaking in over time. There are a couple of practical concerns that I've ran into using the holster that I want to talk about. And the first is sort of the comparing the ability to draw between the 3Speed and, say, your standard Kydex holster. If you've got this holster in concealment and you go to draw it, I've found that oftentimes I am thumbing this flap here and it's getting in the way of my draw. So some things that I'm learning to do, and it's something I have to practice with, as I draw up, I'm holding that flap up so that I can get right in and get the gun out. This is unloaded, by the way. So that is something you have to sort of account for. You pull your shirt up and you're good to go. Reholstering the gun still takes some work, and one thing I want to say, when you're putting this in, you want to really be careful with what you're doing here. Again, this gun is unloaded and you can see I'm covering myself if I'm not careful. One of the things that you can do is this, like that, so that you're not covering your other hand. It's awkward. Doing this in the car, so if I go somewhere where I need to disarm, I'm going to the liquor store here. You can't carry your gun in the liquor store, so I got to take the gun out. I lock it up. Then I sit down. I don't want really people watching me rearm, just because I don't want people knowing I have a gun. You've got to, while you're sitting, work this out so that you don't actually cover yourself, and that is a little difficult. It's not easy. Still, I think worth the trade-off. The comfort and all of that is worth the trade-off of having to learn to get around these things. The other thing that can get difficult is trying to put the holster on if you're in a place where you can't drop your pants. And that doesn't happen that often, although I did find it was an interesting story. We're going into a hotel down at the coast here in North Carolina last weekend, and noticed they had a no guns policy. And I'd taken the gun in the holster off. We were at the beach, and was going to be out rolling around in the sand and stuff, and just didn't want to mess with it. And got back to the hotel and noticed the sign and said, crap, I've got my gun all folded nicely up in my 3-speed holster. What do I do? And I'll demonstrate it here for you. This is a lot easier to do when you're carrying an appendix, I'll tell you that. But having to do this in the car was pretty interesting. But you can get it done. So, bottom line, holster is very comfortable. I think I've gotten around a lot of the draw and reholster issues. It's not quite as efficient for training and practice out at the range, but then again, if you're going to wear that holster, you better train and practice with it, or you could just end up getting yourself hurt. Other than those objections to it, the comfort of this holster, the ease of access, the ability to make these adjustments to carry an appendix is just fantastic. So still a big fan of the 3-speed holster. I think it's a great product. I think it's particularly a great product for people of girth, width, vertically challenged. Now, fat people. It's particularly good if you're a fat guy, folks. I'm liking it quite a bit. It's really the first holster I've been comfortable carrying at the appendix. 2 thumbs up still for the 3-speed. Hey, always remember, anyone can shoot. Anyone can shoot, and even if you're fat, you can pull the thing from your appendix and go do the deal. Anyone can shoot and have fun. We'll see you next time.
Yeehaw!